everybody, Cletus T. Judd, and we're back with another edition, of course, of Life, Learning, and Lemonade, where we're taking those lemons that we've all been dealt along the way and trying to find some positivity and turn them into lemonade. So we got our dear friend Carrie with us today, and Carrie's going to talk a little bit about something that we've talked a little bit about in previous episodes, anxiety, depression, of course, leading, mental illness leading to addiction. I would like to think, I would like to think that was what happened in my case, having went through it at a young age. And of course, when I was young, I'm much older than you are, I'm sure, but back in the 70s when I went to elementary school, we didn't really have an outlet that I can recall to go talk to somebody about something of that magnitude. We only got sent to the office for a paddling or something like that. But when it got right down to the serious stuff, which looking back over the course of a lifetime, I wish that I would have had somebody to talk to about all those anxiety issues and depression issues I had as a kid. And that's something that y'all offer now, right?
Yes, I actually see children in the Wayne County school system right now. So we actually go to the school and see the students there, so they're not having to be brought to the office. It doesn't cost the parents from having to miss work or anything like that.
Wow, that's awesome.
So they're actually getting that during the school system. But yeah, we have a lot of children that are struggling with different types of issues with anxiety, and it doesn't look like the same as what anxiety looks like for adults.
Right.
Adults tend to worry constantly. Kids have, they act out, they get irritable, they don't know what those feelings and emotions are. So it's really difficult to talk to other people about that.
Right.
And so they look at them as, oh, they're being disruptive. They can't focus. They're just goofing off. And it's not that. It's the fact that they really don't know what's going on.
There's an underlying issue there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, when COVID hit, all these kids that are now in elementary school, a lot of those had less communication, less connection with other people. So even being out, that ingrained a fear for them.
Right. I think when I was young, I recall, and you're talking about acting out and that sort of thing, I don't know if kids still do it today. I'm sure that they do. You'll know more than I would now. But, that was my way of coping was, being the class clown, doing things for attention, just to feel like somebody was paying me attention, because I didn't always, get that where I should have got it at a young age. So, that's great that kids nowadays can has an outlet to talk to somebody and cut it off early. I've always said, and like I said, we talked in an earlier episode, there is one way, the only way to have a 100% cure of addiction rate, and that's to never do it to start with. And
True.
You just can't start it too soon. You just can't get to these kids too soon.
Very
What
true.
ages do y'all start dealing with, Carrie?
I start seeing at 5. I think we have another one in our office that does maybe 3 or 4. So, and then I see all the way through adulthood.
Man, listen, if you're a parent, a guardian, a friend, or whatever, what this young lady just said, starting it, I would have gave anything in the world to have been able to have been offered some type of counseling. Not that I even knew what the word was, counseling, at that time, because you don't, but just to have a friendly voice to talk to and non-judgmental. And man, what a great asset that is to have in our company, for sure.
Absolutely. That's the big thing. They come in, a lot of times they're really excited to come into our office because, of course, I've got Legos and games, and we tend to use that as, well, what happens if it doesn't go your way? Life lessons to kind of help them be able to manage a blow up or something. And I even have the teachers that are coming to me and they're like, okay, I've got some other students. How do I handle this?
Oh, sure.
What are some, resources?
Coping skills.
And so they're using the same things that we are using in session, and they're also providing those same, they're encouraging those same things in classes.
Absolutely. How often would you see a kid like that?
I see them once a week.
Oh, that's great.
And I have a couple that I was seeing twice a week.
Can you see, like when you're in those sessions and over the course of time, can you see the evolvement of where they were when you got them the first day
Absolutely.
to, say, the 6th or 7th or 8th visit?
Absolutely. A lot of times kids come in and I'm like, well, what do you want to talk about? What's been going on? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, do you want to play a game? Do you want to talk? You know, and just because their hands are busy,
right,
they're able to talk about other things. And I've had some go, oh my God, I've not told anybody that. And I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it.
So that's the big thing too. I let the parents know that the session is the child session. So if they ask me what's going on, I will give you an overview of progress, not what they say. So if you come in there and they say, my parents are driving me crazy, I'm like, okay. So the parents go, how's things go? They're learning to express themselves.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But it gives them that outlet so that they do have a sense that they can come in and say whatever's going on without fear that, oh my gosh, my parents find out I'm going to be in so much trouble when I get home.
Well, there's a trust issue there too.
Absolutely.
That you have to gain from those kids because they're so vulnerable at that age. And
they are.
I guess I hate to use this phrase, but you're not throwing him under the bus and going back and saying, look, Mom, he's saying that you're wearing him out. What a great way to handle those situations.
So then if the parents do ask, well, what can I do? I'm like, well, maybe, have a family sit down, talk time, how are things going? Has there been anything that's been difficult? And that's how I start all my sessions. What have you done the past week? Has there been anything that's been difficult or challenging for you?
How do you feel like the response is from the majority of the kids? Do they open up to you? Is it a little bit tougher to get it out?
Some of the a little bit older ones are harder to get started.
Yeah.
Like my 6th, 7th, 8th graders. High schoolers, they'll tell you whatever, which I don't really do a lot of the high school at the moment, but I do have them that come in. But then when it comes to the younger ones, it's all fun and games, and they're just talking about whatever.
Right.
So they'll just tell you about their dog. If that's where we start about your dog. How does your dog, do you notice your dog always comes to you when you're kind of down? You
almost have to follow their lead versus you setting the tone.
Yes.
What would you say to a parent out there that's having some issues with their children that they'd like to get into counseling and just maybe be afraid to pull that trigger? What would you say to them?
I would start off with a conversation. It's one thing to be at home and to be a parent, but if that child is so afraid to say something because they're afraid they're going to get in trouble or something like that, it's a little harder for them to come right out and tell them. So a lot of times just ask them, do you need somebody just to vent to? Somebody just that you can share your thoughts that you're afraid to even tell us.
Yeah, no repercussions. That's the key thing, yes. I would imagine. I was always afraid, because, my dad would backhand me if I kind of got out of line.
Well, I grew up in the time, what happens at home stays at home.
Right.
You didn't talk about it. And, that's not necessarily a great thing. We're in rural Appalachia, we've got to change the tone.
Absolutely.
We've got to, change the stigma.
And you definitely, I'll say it till they fire me from here, you definitely can't start it too early.
No.
The earlier the better, because if you can get to the underlying condition at an early age and help those kids grow up and understand, what their emotions are. I didn't understand why I was a basket case. I just never had an outlet for somebody to help me, cope with all those things. But if you can catch them early like that, I would imagine, and let them, when a feeling does appear that they're not used to, they can revert back to a conversation they've had with you. And it's got to be so beneficial for sure.
And it's really good, to just be able to talk to kids. That's one of my favorite things to do. I mean, I see adults too, but, it's all different. What you see happening in a kid with anxiety, depression, those type of things don't look like what happens with an adult. An adult is straightforward a lot of times, but a kid, it's all hidden.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to tell you. It might be a stomach ache. It might be that they don't want to go to school, and you don't know why they don't want to.
Right.
But there's something else going on, and they don't know what to say about it.
Well, if you're experiencing anything like that, and don't be afraid to reach out. Like I said, we always have the number up on the screen, and you get to deal with people like this who genuinely care about those kids. And it's just a great service that OVP offers. And thank you so much for what you do. I'm telling you, I say front row seats are reserved for mamas, second rows for people that do what you do. So best of luck. Thank you so much for coming in. Y'all have a great day. Thanks a lot. Share this with the people that you need to, and see you next time on Life Learning and Lemonade. Have a good day.